Good morning. My name is Judge Ginger Lerner-Wren, and I'm coming to you from the 17th Judicial Circuit. I am a county court criminal judge, and I preside over a misdemeanor part-time mental health court, as well as a regular criminal division. I also have a small substance use prevention court, so we're doing a lot of justice, problem-solving justice in this courtroom. I want to thank all of the symposium organizers and presenters and attendees for giving me the privilege of appearing through a recorded video. I regret that I could not be with you today, so I just wanted to let you know that I have provided a few things for you to amplify this presentation. First of all, I hope that you all have a copy of my book, A Court of Refuge, Stories from the Bench of America's First Mental Health Court. Thank you to Beacon Press for providing this. This book is really, I think, so important. It tells not only about the early development of the court, but really focuses on how do we humanize justice? How can we take a court of law, if you will, and really turn it into a courtroom where dignity becomes the centerpiece of everything that we do. And I feel that it's the human stories that I hope as journalists, all of you will focus on to help highlight not only what we need in the state of Florida to prioritize mental health and behavioral health and all kinds of neurodiverse conditions to promote disability rights and human rights, but also to focus on stories of recovery. You know, when Broward County started its Court of June in 1997, it was really an outgrowth of a grand jury report that was published in November of 1994. And in my monograph, you can have citations to all of the things that I'm talking about in addition to the book. But the book itself is really dedicated to an unlikely savior. That's the way PBS Frontline termed Lerner-Wren, in the high-profile case of Lerner-Wren, who as a young man getting ready for college was involved in a very serious motorcycle accident. He suffered severe injuries, but the most sustaining ended up being his traumatic brain injury. His family tells the story that they tried everything and there was nowhere for them to get help back in the late 80s. When Aaron could no longer regulate his behaviors, he ended up in crisis, and his crisis ended up being an altercation with a police officer. He was charged with assault, and then a circuit judge found him incompetent to proceed. Aaron was confined for 2.5 years in 2 different state of Florida forensic hospitals. There, he was confined in solitary confinement in 4- and 5-point restraints. Aaron's life would take a terrible turn for the worst when he was discharged in 1991 with no discharge plan, now diagnosed with PTSD and schizophrenia. His parents were back into the nightmare that they were prior to this institutionalization. They couldn't find help. Everywhere they turned, they were denied for various reasons. The lack of access to care in Broward County's mental health system mirrors virtually every other community across this nation. One day, while Aaron was shopping at one of our larger grocery stores in Florida, he had some kind of a panic attack, darted out of the store, collided with an 85-year-old woman who then died of head injuries sustained by the fall. Lerner-Wren was now charged with murder. It was then Assistant Public Defender Howard Finkelstein who realized for the first time as public defender that maybe their work was actually contributing to the problem. He thought by getting his clients out of jail upon arrest who had mental illness, that in fact they were doing a good thing, and yet realized that all perhaps they were doing was enabling a revolving door that only led to deeper penetration in the criminal justice system. In frustration and in reflection, Howard drafted a 10-page letter to the Broward County grand jury about the failings of Broward County's mental health system, and the Broward grand jury took that case. For almost a year, they investigated. In November of 1994, issued a scathing 153-page grand jury report, finding that Broward's mental health system was deplorable, that no one was accountable to anyone for anything. A task force emerged out of that grand jury report, and after 2 years of meeting, no consensus, no budget, no grants, what was Broward County going to do? In a Hail Mary type of comment, Howard Finkelstein said, "I want my own court." Broward County's mental health court is an outgrowth of that grand jury report, a leap of faith that if a community works together in collaboration, can we work to divert individuals out of an inappropriate system of care to appropriate community care, as well as getting individuals to hospitals for independent evaluation if in fact they were in crisis and acute emergency psychiatrically. The mental health court really, to me, is just still, after 23 years, almost a miracle. Every single day, we see individuals that don't know where to get help, families that don't know where to seek care, and using a therapeutic jurisprudent approach takes a human rights framework, and by honoring people's voice and validating their life experience through the therapeutic guidance of a clinician embedded in the courtroom, we have taken a courtroom and we have created a culture of humanism, a culture that understands that mental health is health, that it is essential to all health. And that in the state of Florida, even today, even with all our success leading a mental health court movement nationally and internationally, we understand that Florida must pass Medicaid expansion, that we must have supported and permanent affordable housing, transitional housing, that we have to honor the stories of people that recover, that those stories need to be told and covered so that people understand that treatment works, that people with mental health conditions actually do recover, go back to college, go back to school and work and live their dreams. Please, I hope that you enjoy A Court of Refuge. I hope that if you have questions following this presentation, that it is possible to take problem-solving courts and have a human rights framework, and that we can do diversion, hold systems accountable, and actually treat people with the dignity and respect and the caring that they know, that they can trust a judge, they can trust a court team, that mental health care is just as important and even more important perhaps than other kinds of health care, and there is no reason to feel shame or stigma or feel that mental health is just not essential, because it is. Thank you so much for having me appear by video. We could not have achieved our success through Broward's Mental Health Court. If it was not for our journalist partners and really working so closely with the media from the early development even to this day. So please, your work makes a huge difference. Thank you so much for being here.